Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
This is the town hall, so let's get to some questions.
Let's do it.
The first question is from Adam.
How are you, Senator Vance?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, a little tired. For the last 14 days, myself, my fiance, and these awesome pilots behind us have been delivering supplies all over Western North Carolina.
God bless you guys. God bless you all. We love you. We're proud of you, and we're so grateful to you.
The question is, can we have the conversation about revamping a national disaster strategy so that we can utilize retired veterans and special operations personnel who have been leading the charge hands down in Western North Carolina and effectively provided food, supplies, and medical aid and assistance to thousands and thousands of lives, and revamping the national disaster strategy in the United States so that we can make it more effective?
I am sick and tired of weak representation in Washington. Aren't you? I think it's about time we have leadership with backbone in Congress. As a Green Beret and founder of Savage Freedom's Relief Operations, my team, the people of Western North Carolina, and I demonstrated to the governor and the Biden regime exactly what the backbone of the mountains looks like. That's why I'm going to D.C. I'm Adam Smith, and I'm running for Congress in Western North Carolina, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to Truth Thursday. The Rob Maness Show's live on Worldview YouTube and our X Spaces simulcast. Well, Americans who love the country, they will carry it forward into the future. Yes, they will. In fact, they already are. My friend, you just saw there, Adam Smith, that is really going to challenge a career politician, a Republican in Western North Carolina. That's the kind of individual we need. And it's not because it's personal. It's because it is his duty, folks. His duty to step up and try to end the iron grip on power the entrenched politicians are so desperate to maintain. We've lost two key leaders in our movement this last month that leave large gaps in our effort to accomplish this mission. But Americans like Adam Smith and you are stepping up. And we're not surprised. In fact, you've been stepping up since before we lost Charlie Kirk and Boone Cutler. Their leadership was generating the momentum that frightens those who want to hold on to power. And that power that we will wrest from their grip and return it to ourselves, the people, as it is intended to be in this country. Leaders young and old are rising to this challenge. And we'll examine all this in the context of the current situation. My guest, Chad Caton, and I will discuss all of this challenges America faces in this crucial period. Chad's a former U.S. Navy Seabee. He's a retired firefighter and first responder. He was a Trump Campaign Veterans Coalition surrogate. He's a GOP political activist, and he's the national field director of the Conservative Caucus. And my friend, Chad, welcome back to the Rob Maness Show.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I know it is. I love having you on.
Is that what I'm
man.
supposed to say? How are you, sir?
No, that's it. All right, so let's talk about Adam Smith for a second. You are the field director of the Conservative Caucus. I know that you met him when you and Boone were up in North Carolina during the hurricane recovery. Thank you for that again. I can't thank folks like you enough and Boone enough for that effort. So this a good move on his part, challenging an incumbent Republican?
Well, if not, he's a Green Beret, and he's probably going to kill me if it doesn't work out, because Boone and I sat there one day in the middle of the hurricane and everything, and we talked to Adam, and we're like, bro, there's nothing coming from the Biden regime here in North Carolina, and your feckless establishment Tillis type conservative congressperson is nowhere to be found, and he never showed up until President Trump and JD Vance actually was out there. Of course, he needed to be there for that photo op, right? And that's what we're sick of. And it resonated with Adam. And I remember when Adam called me and he goes, "I think I'm gonna do this thing." And I was like, "For real?" I said, "I'm in, man. You know, one go, all go." That's what we've always been with our military, the way we are with our brethren. And Boone had a really significant phone call with him that same day as I did, and said, "Here's what you need. Here's where we need to find these resources. And if we can do that in the next couple of weeks, then I say we go full tilt on this thing and go win it, and send a fighter with unapologetic leadership to Washington." And here we are. Right, we're already out the gate, and he's already killing it. He's doing great.
Yeah, it's a great ad. Full transparency, I'm the chairman and founder of Gator Pack and our Veterans Leadership Fund. We endorsed Adam the day after he announced, and have given him a max donation from our candidate account in Gator Pack. And if you want to donate to Gator Pack, we can do even more. Give us a $5 a month recurring donation at GatorPack.com if you want to. And Chad works with the Conservative Caucus. You could throw them a donation too. Give us all $5 a month for the rest of your natural lives, and we can do good things with that money.
You're absolutely right.
That's a
Colonel,
shameless pitch. Shameless pitches come naturally to people once they've had to do it a few times.
Right. Well, let me add to that, because it's something I've been talking about for a very long time to our friends over in Spaces and Twitter, and we showed what a mandate can do, right? We showed what can happen if the American people get off the couch and get involved. We saw it with Donald Trump, and we are in the midst of that right now. How many times have you seen a congressman or a senator stop everything because they feel like they didn't get what they wanted in a bill, or they're just terrible people? We need to make all of our congressional candidates and all of our senators national mandates. Your $5 from California goes a long way in North Carolina. Your $5 from Connecticut goes a long way in North Carolina to help somebody like Adam. And these are the people that are going to stand up there and fight for you. And these are the people that are going to make people like Ilhan Omar go back into her office.
Oh, you're absolutely right, man. And I'll just tell you, folks, this show is not intended to be a pitch for dollars, but fundraising has been really slow because after a big election like the Trump election last year, everybody takes a deep sigh of relief and they kind of let themselves down. But it's time to get back on the horse, folks. We got big stuff coming up. The New Jersey governor's race is about to happen, and it's tied. Poll numbers released this morning, and there's lots of stuff you could do to help turn New Jersey red. Just look on X, follow Scott Presler. He's working that issue. So is Cliff Maloney out of Pennsylvania Chase. They're going to knock 500,000 doors. Go up there if you can, or just throw them $5 a month. That goes a long, long way. Chad, since we're talking about Adam challenging an incumbent, and you mentioned Tillis, explain to folks that may not really understand how these people maintain their grip on power in a state.
Sure.
With these career politicians, and why it's so important to have good challengers in primary races. Because we Republicans, we love our incumbents, man.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that is that they become kings. We make them kings. The blue hairs and all of them go up there and do their little dog and pony show for the Lindsey Grahams and the Tom Tillises and the McConnells, and that's why you end up everybody that wants to do some sort of you can only be in Congress for X amount of time. That's just silly. If we have the ultimate way to get rid of them, and that's to get off of your behind, to get involved. And it's not hard, but even in our voting in midterms, the numbers are garbage. And if people would stay engaged in their civics, we wouldn't have the problems we have today. Everything that we have going on in this country, that we want to look at Biden, or we want to look at the administration or the New World Order, that's all happened while we've been going to hot yoga. It's not because we've been paying attention. We've been doing what we did with Donald Trump in 2025. It's because we haven't been watching the gate, if you will. We've been allowing things to happen, and we have a tendency to get all excited and jump in and then not. But see, when you do that with an incumbent, they own the media, they own the GOPs, they own all of the big donors in each state. And when that happens, it makes somebody that comes in to beat them, they either have to screw up hugely, or you've got to have somebody that comes in with a ton of money. And I mean a ton of money. And the idea of us having a natural representation, or representation that the average person is going to be about, we have to find a way to level the playing field, if you will. And the only way we do that is by the American people getting involved in their civics. From the local level all the way to Washington. But if you ever want to know why you have an idiot in Washington, go to your local GOP or your local DNC, and I'm sure it'll be very quickly, you'll understand very quickly, because that's the funnel. That's how it happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I mentioned Tillis because he was the most powerful Republican in North Carolina, if I understand it correctly, until he decided he was going to resign because he knows he can't win in his next primary.
He's garbage. Just garbage.
But he controls the other people that are in the U.S. Congress for North Carolina, by and large, that are Republicans, doesn't he?
He sure does, and thank you for bringing that up. And that's when people come up in politics. They all go to their steak dinners, their silver elephants, and they all pat each other on the back and throw each other a dollar here and there, and my pack and your pack, and it's just so incestuous. It's really gross. And we have the same problem here with Lindsey Graham. She's a pain. We can't get rid of her. I mean, it's like it's the worst cancer you could ever have in South Carolina. But the thing is that you have people out there that are patting each other on the back, and they become a movement together. So they all stay in there and they all protect each other and they all pay down to each other. One will move up into the head of the RNC. He takes care of this guy. He takes care of this guy. As a matter of fact, the guy that Adams running against, the feckless Chuck Edwards, this dude didn't bring in any money. If it wasn't for Tom Tillis's PAC, he probably would have lost to a Democrat last time. That's how sad this is.
So, here's an example. I just want to make it very clear to folks. In the congressional district I'm in Mississippi here, the congressman ran on a platform of not voting for Kevin McCarthy. He defeated an incumbent with the help of a lot of us. Helping him and his other fellow candidates in their primary. But when he got up there, he voted for him all 17 times. And while he's a nice man, he's not one of us. And we need fire breathers. We need fighters and those kind of things. And he got primaried again last time, but only 9% of the vote showed up. So less than, and keep in mind, folks, these folks represent about 750,000 Americans in each district. At the U.S. congressional level, less than like 40,000 people showed up to vote. Think about that. That's why you don't get the representation that you want, is because we don't show up to vote.
Well, let me put this in perspective. South Carolina, remember it was the big firewall. We were going to take out Nikki Haley, right? We finally get rid of that woman, so that Donald Trump can go and run for the office. This was the big firewall. Nikki's like, I'm not doing anything anywhere. I'm going to be in South Carolina. I'm going to go to get me some boiled peanuts. I'm going to drive around everywhere, and I'm going to remind everybody I was your governor. Well, she was terrible, and she lost to Donald Trump probably within 10 minutes of the polls closing. And the thing is, only 14% of South Carolina, the biggest, reddest state for Donald Trump. I live in a county that voted in the 73 percentile for Donald Trump in both elections. And they came out at 14%. That is a problem. You don't need COS. You don't need somebody to say, hey, we need term limits, because the problem is you're going to turn it into a Bush league. You're going to have 7 or 8 years in Congress, and then the powers that be, the GOP and the state, is going to say, hey, we got to put Bob. He did 8 years in there. He served his time. Now we're going to send him to the Senate, and he's going to do 2 terms there. That's 12. You're at 22 years on Capitol Hill. You're not changing anything. All this is a way for them to mess with us. Stop moving the goalpost and do the job. That is what I yell from the rooftops everywhere I have. We have spoke all over the country together, and I lose my mind. That's why my Twitter's, I'm fired up, because the vein starts coming out of my freaking forehead, because all you have to do is get off of your ass and get involved. That's it. That's how
You're
we win.
absolutely right. And now I have to go to a commercial, and I can't even respond to that term limit stuff. Which, if you're gonna have term limits, folks, write the law well, because like over in Louisiana, you could just go back and forth between the House and the Senate and the state legislature as long as you want, and nobody ever stops you. I've seen it been happening all along. So it's only as good as the law that you write if you can even get it passed. Anyway, we'll be right back with Chad Caton. I'm fired up, and the conservative caucus. Because we're talking about all the good stuff that's going on and what people are going to do and are doing here in America to preserve our country.
We have a big announcement, folks. It's called Bella Melt. In the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's the satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel.
MelissaHouseBG.com just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 fast action.
Sure that Jimmy Kimmel was back on the air last night, and to the extent that he's not back on the air, it's because he's not funny and has terrible ratings. This is not a federal government problem. This is... And Kit, look, I want to answer your question in good faith. What people will say is, well, you know, didn't the FCC commissioner put a tweet out that said something bad? Well, Kit, compare that, the FCC commissioner making a joke on social media. What is the government action that the Trump administration has engaged in to kick Jimmy Kimmel or anybody else off the air? Zero. What government pressure have we brought to bear to tell people that they're not allowed to speak their mind? Zero. We believe in free speech in the Trump administration. We are fighting every single day to protect it. Now compare that to the Biden administration, where we found out just yesterday that conservatives on YouTube and on a number of social media platforms were being censored. Why? Because the Biden administration picked up the phone and said, we want you to censor our political opponents. That is real government censorship, and it left the White House when Joe Biden left the White House.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Truth Thursday on World YouTube and our X Spaces simulcast. Sorry about the technical difficulties on the over in the space audience. I think we got them back, though. Look, Vice President Vance is right on the money there. And it just reminds me to tell y'all that the Rob Maness Show YouTube channel is back up. We're broadcasted to it right now. So go like, subscribe, share that thing. And get it back in business. Not because we like YouTube, but because that's where a large part of an audience is that needs to hear this message from my guest today. Chad Caton is back with us here to talk about the truth that's going on right here in America. Chad, I wanted to transition into from Americans stepping into the breach like Adam Smith is doing in North Carolina's Congressional District 11, folks. Go help him out. And there's all kinds of ways you could do it. We just spent 15 minutes talking about it, to the government. And the difference between a government that's abusive and overreaching with its power, like the Biden administration was just described by the vice president there, and this government that we have under Donald Trump that the leftists are complaining so much about, that people are shooting folks that agree with this government, which is following the Constitution of the United States. I mean, nothing's perfect, but so far, I haven't seen any government overreach like the Biden administration did. Talk up through the differences.
Well, first off, what JD was saying there is pretty evident. You know, it's this is the left trying to hang on to anything as they circle the proverbial drain in the toilet. They're just constantly falling down into the toilet because their ideology is terrible. It doesn't reach with the morality and the commonsensical thought process of the American people, or for that matter, a large part of the planet, because they're dealing with their own liberal crazy town in Europe and elsewhere. But what they're talking about here with the censorship is kind of asinine, really, because I got booted off for everything. You just said I got my YouTube channel back. Why? Because you're a nice colonel? You know, they kicked you off of there? No, because you're a conservative. They've been censoring us forever. We've had actual hearings in Congress where it's been proven that they would call Facebook, or they would call Twitter and say, hey, take this profile down, take this post down, take this. That is real fascism, right? And it's kind of like you're rubber, we're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. That's kind of what they're doing. So they say they're anti-fascist. They say that they're against censorship, when in actuality, the only thing they have to claim anything is the FCC guy doesn't like Jimmy Kimmel. Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel. And then what they did is they went out there and said, we don't like this guy. Yes, we're in power, but there was nothing ever done by the FCC. And for the FCC to pull somebody's certification on a national network is really hard if you look into it. But we know the Democrats don't do that, sir. So really, it was just all it's a shell game, and they're trying to claim censorship when really what it was the distributors of Nexstar and Sinclair said, we don't like the cut of your jib, homie, and we don't want to show your show anymore, which hurts ABC. Now I got to give the Democrats a W. They took it to us, and they brought in $3.8 billion in market share that hurt ABC. That's capitalism at its finest. We have to be better at it. It's that simple. Like I always say, learn the game, play it better, kick their ass. You got to learn the game first.
So how did they do that with that $3.8 billion? How did they do that?
Well, they were very smart. And look, people don't send me DMs saying that I'm leftist and all. You really don't know who you're talking to. I'm just putting that out there.
Don't do that to him on the air, folks.
Just lawn darts than most people. So
don't
let's
do that
just put
on the air,
there.
folks.
But, totally joking, but what they did is they understood what ABC represented. They understood their subsidiaries. They understood Disney. So they started canceling their kids' Disney network, their Disney XP network. They started canceling trips on the Disney Cruise Line. They started dropping any other streaming service that was good for their kids, so that people didn't have to raise their kids. Here's your iPad, watch Mickey. You know, they got rid of all that. And people just started canceling. And with that market share taking a dump at 3.8 billion in market share over a week, that's a significant loss to a large company. And shareholders they're going to start asking questions. And this is where we're at. But now Jimmy's back, right? But Sinclair and Nexstar still are not putting his stuff out. So ABC's in a huge quandary right now, and I give a lot of credit to Nexstar and Sinclair for saying I don't. The apology wasn't good enough, and I agree. So this is capitalism. It has nothing to do with censorship.
Exactly. That's where I wanted you to go. You went there twice for me. You're exactly right. It's capitalism, folks. And think about this. There are enough American conservatives that if we cut Disney off, that we could hurt them too. But we're not that well organized. We are just not that well organized to pull it off. But we did pull it off in something called Cracker Barrel, right? Yeah. The Cracker Barrel restaurant.
Of all things.
That turnaround was due to you, because you did get organized around that idea that they were doing the wrong things. Now, I went to a Cracker Barrel last week just to check it out. At 6 p.m., prime dinner hour, there were 8 people in this Cracker Barrel. So keep the pressure on them until they change their decor back to the old country store decor on the inside, instead of this white liberal housewife white shit that they've got on the walls, and put the old gear back on the walls that they used to have up. They took about 3/4 of it down, and people don't like eating in there because they don't want to eat in a sterile environment. They want to eat in the old country store and have that barn feeling. For goodness sake, that's what your brand is. That's how we do it. And that's capitalism too, right, Chad?
It is, and I have pictures of me and my dog in like 14 of those places, because every time I went in one, I put my own picture on the wall just because I wanted to see if I could get away with it. So I want to know where my pictures are. I really do, and all of that needs to come back. There was such a thing about Cracker Barrel, and at the end of the day, it's garbage food. It's not grandma's food, but it's good, right? You can go in there and get a good meal. But I'm a Waffle House kind of feller. I like the dinner and a show, if you will, if you watch World Star on Twitter. But at the same time, this has to be something where the capitalist side of us the Republicans have to find their side. And this is going to upset evangelicals. But just going to a business because they have put a cross on their stuff and are tough enough to do that, but you vote at 14%, evangelicals. Your pastors won't even talk about Charlie Kirk. Your pastors are living in mansions and driving Bentleys. I get that's where we have to fix this at the church level, and that's what General Flynn and Boone Cutler go into in their 5G warfare, the church's responsibility. But this is also something where we have to demand it as conservative Republicans and evangelical conservative Republicans, and this is how we win. And until we do that, and until we get as excited about our side of the aisle, if you will, this is what we're going to be facing forever. We have an opportunity to destroy the Democratic Party forever. It has to be a mandate in midterms, and we have to come together. It's that simple.
Yeah, and one of the big things, we just don't need to interrupt them while they're destroying themselves whenever we are doing things. Don't get in their way, but help them. Help them continue this destruction. Let me just tell a little anecdote. I'm glad you brought that up about the preachers. Look, I'm a Southern Baptist, and I had an interview that went over church time last weekend, but my wife went to church and to a local Baptist church here, and I asked her when she got home, did the preacher mention Charlie Kirk's name? No, he did not. Now, she went up to him afterwards and said, hey, I came today and I haven't been in church in a while, but I came because of Charlie Kirk. And he went into a long story about his grandson, how he started coming back to church because of Charlie and everything, but he didn't talk about him from the pulpit, folks. You have to demand that your ministers get on board with America. And what that means is ministers started America. They were a big part of the American Revolution and a big part of the communication system leading up to that Boone and General Flynn talk about in their communications part of their concepts in 5G warfare. They talk about how these communication networks have developed and grown over the years into what we have now. The ministers are a key part of it. Get them on board. Be loud and proud and insist that they do it. Right, Chad?
Yeah. If your pastor or priest didn't bring up Charlie Kirk this last weekend, I want you to walk up to him and say, I'm here for church, but I'm leaving because I need a spiritual leader in this spiritual war that we are in right now that's going to have the proverbial nuts to do the job. You don't. Because Charlie Kirk was right there for you I saw churches even here in South Carolina. There was people everywhere, and people went there to hear the word. They went there to talk about where we are in this spiritual war that we are in. And how can we say that we're in a spiritual war, but we can't even get our faith leaders to get behind it? I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of you are feckless. A lot of you are more worried about the basket than you are your actual parishioners. A lot of you are worried about the celebrity that you may have in the large pastors than you are about what is important to your parishioners. You are supposed to lead by through the church. You're the guy on the pulpit. I'm the guy on the wall. We all have our job. I'm doing mine. Do yours.
Yeah, and we need them to do theirs because, what an opportunity to stand in that pulpit and go through line by line the lies by the Marxist left in this country that has led to their people murdering people like Charlie Kirk, executing him in public for exercising your right to speak and your right to worship freely and lead with your Christian faith. That's why Charlie was killed, because that shooter listened to that indoctrination. That indoctrination is coming from elected officials in this country and party officials in this country on the left side of the aisle, and they will not be quiet. They will not shut up about it. They are doubling down, as a matter of fact, right now. And it's not that you should worship Charlie Kirk, right, Chad? It's that Go through and talk about what Charlie talked about when leading from his faith and telling the truth and not compromising, and show your congregation what it means to be part of a movement that is. I think they got over 100,000 chapter requests now. Charlie had 9,300 when he died, and his goal was 20,000 before he passed away as an old man. I mean, think about that movement and that development that could happen in the church if these leaders would just show a little courage from the pulpit. Well, we got to take another break. When we come back, we're going to see J.D. Vance again. It's a little bit different twist on this, but it's important that we talk about it and continue talking about this violence coming from the left. We'll be right back with Chad Kate.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed.
Order. And I think that is the most disgusting thing. The very people who keep us safe ought to be honored and protected and praised by Democrats and Republicans alike. It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement. Because here's what happens. Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell, and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. How'd you like that message from the 48th President of the United States, J.D. Vance of Ohio? My guest today is Chad Caton of the Conservative Caucus. Goes by I'm Fired Up 2 on X. You got to go follow him because, look, at least for the entertainment, you got to follow him. But come on back in, Chad. But with the entertainment, you get the truth. And that's why, you know, when I met Charlie as a teenager, one of the things that I really loved about him, besides he was the only Republican that would go to a college campus and try to get 18-year-olds to vote for me, was that his commitment to himself was that he would always tell the truth. And that's what J.D. Vance was doing right there. He's telling the truth. And of course, the 5G warfare that's going on, they try to obfuscate that, don't they, from the other side?
Oh, well, that's why they call us authoritarian, because they've been in a lawless world for a very long time, especially in our inner cities, like Chirac. You know, they've got more people dead any other day, along with, you know, Memphis, Tennessee. These are ran by Democrats, and they like lawlessness. They like open borders. They like people cutting genitalia off children. They like this. This is what drives me crazy, Colonel. I do not understand how in the wide world of trailer parks, how anybody can sit there and look at a little kid and say, this is a great idea. We are doing something for these people. What we need to stop doing is lifting up mental health as it's some kind of new norm and actually get these people help. This is where we're at right now. And J.D. Vance just stuck it right in the left in their ear and said, kiss our ass. We're not doing this anymore. We do not want to be hunted anymore. We're not hunting you. Stop hunting us. and especially our public safety and I'm not saying soldiers, but these are the people that have raised their hand to serve this country like you and I did, Colonel. And the fact that these people in blue hair and furry hats think it's a good idea to take granddad's 308, 306 and go down there and shoot at somebody is batshit. I cannot understand how we even get here, other than we have a bunch of terrible, terrible people running the Democratic Party and are standing there in solidarity to continue to bring down this country. There is no maybe they're not doing this or maybe they're not doing this. They're immoral, disgusting swamp creatures. And we have turned our cheek. We have continued to win in the right way. We have not gone out and burned down cities, or we have not gone out and started hunting them. I don't want any of that. You know it, and I know it, Colonel. I don't want to see it. I do this now so that we never get to some semblance of civil war. I don't even know what that would look like. And the people that throw it around, you're an idiot. But we have to do the mundane in order to keep your kids with the future. It's that simple. And J.D. Vance, he will be the 48th president of the United States, and I can't wait. I'm here for it.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me as I've thought about seeing the reactions from the left to Charlie's murder and now even Boone's untimely death is the evil nature of the sounds of what I would probably think is a normal person if I met him on the street, and the difference between what I was saying about the FBI under the Biden administration. I called them the Stasi, but I never called for anybody to go out and kill them. What I was calling for was legal accountability for them not equally applying the law or unequally applying the law because of somebody's political partisan world, not to go out and kill people. And these folks, they have taken a leap way beyond where the right was talking from under the Biden administration when talking about things, agencies like the FBI or the intel agencies. We're just wanting accountability, but they're wanting to kill us.
Yeah.
I mean, how did we get here?
Well, we got here because we weren't watching the con. We got here because we were apathetic in our civics. We got here because we allowed both of our parties, to the Republicans, to be taken over by limp-wristed, I don't even know what they are. They're not conservatives. They're not Republicans, but they're playing a game right now with the New World Order. And then you got the left that has gone absolutely off the reservation. They're just done. We are straight up commies. Look at Mandami up in New York. Look at you have Tim Walz who vacationed in China. I mean, he lived in China. The guy is all about it. You have Bernie Sanders who did his honeymoon in Russia and in Cuba. These people don't want what we're about, which is the republic that we have fought like hell for 250 years. They don't want it, and they want to change it. And that's why the American people, the way our forefathers set it up, it's very simple. Get involved. And and make sure you vote. Go take 10 other people. Get a bus. Take your entire neighborhood, even the ones you don't like in the HOA. Take them too. It doesn't matter. Get people out to vote. We have to start embracing our civics, or we're gonna fall by the wayside, because the Democrats are all about it. And that's what's even crazier to me, is that we're allowing the immoral people that are that we dictate as immoral, and I don't think anybody would really argue that. We're allowing them to go out there and choose how this is going to go, instead of us fighting for what is ours.
Yeah. And you mentioned the feckless Republicans. I mean, over and over, I see this both sidesism. Chad, I tweet about it. I've written about it. Get attacked for what I'm saying, which is there is no both sidesism. Our side has never called for violence against half of the country. Now, we've called for self-defense and being ready to protect yourself if they come at you, but never to start a war with them.
I actually got in a debate yesterday on a space. I can't remember which space I was on. And somebody brought up Enrico Tarrio was there, the leader of the Proud Boys. And they asked him a question. They're like, well, do you think that the Proud Boys need to settle it down too in regards to violence, just like Antifa does? Or would you be okay if are you okay with them being considered a domestic terrorist? And Enrico had microphone problems, but I asked the question until he came back, and I asked the guy, I said, has the Antifa ever attacked a building or a person? And he said, well, yeah. And I said, has the Proud Boys? The Proud Boys, yes, got in fights until one actually got stabbed, but it was in defense of something else. There's a difference. They're not the same.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Defending yourselves or defending a place is not the same as an offensive attack. And that's, look, I'm glad you brought up Antifa. Look, I've said for years now that they are a domestic terrorist organization. They're supported by some type of financial network that comes out of the Marxist left. And they have some military veterans, unfortunately, that are, in my opinion, American military veterans that are misguided in the way they think of the way they think about the ideology. But we should take them serious because they are networked. They do training. They use their veteran members to do combat training. And when you look at the models of the shootings that have gone on, just arc it off, bracket it off, and go from Butler, Pennsylvania, to yesterday at the last ICE facility, and look at the operations. Just the assassin shooters, they're an operation. They're planned. They have some level of training. It's obvious they have some level of training, but not quite to the point where the shooter would be a professional. But their logistics, their resourcing, their communication is all very, very well set up. Their planning of the event, of the attack, is set up. We've seen a coordinated platoon level. I think it was about a platoon level coordinated tactical attack on that ICE facility just north of Dallas not too long ago. And in Black Bloc, that's classic Antifa. I mean, this looks, smells, feels, and is a terrorist organization. And the president's right to declare them such, right?
I absolutely agree. They're so dumb. They're so dumb. It's just so hard to you have to respect all if you know yourself, you know your enemy, you can fight 100 battles without fear. I fear none. And that's Sun Tzu. And here we are with an assailant that again is learned. And this is the thing. The Antifa has learned from what happened in Vietnam. It's a faceless enemy. There's no such thing as Antifa. It's a thought process, right? You're not Antifa. The Krassensteins are out there. Why aren't you anti-fascist? No, you're fascist. You just want to call us the rubber ear glue thing. Remember that? When you were a kid. This is where we're at. And Antifa, if you ever really got your stupid together, we would be home by lunch. You're just lucky we're allowing you to do this because we don't want it. We don't want that violence. That's not what we represent. And the real veterans out there, not the ones that were in supply and that were cooks, that decided to be Antifa because the war fighters were probably a little mean to them or gave them a lot of crap at the bar. I don't know. I just feel like these are all the soy boys found themselves in a cool outfit and a hoodie and a 55-gallon plastic drum cut in half and called a shield. It's just dumb. It's just so dumb. And the thing is that I believe that they know, and the biggest thing about this is that they have been funded with outside money. And that's what Donald Trump, if you actually read the EO, that focuses specifically on where they're getting their money, which more than likely is Soros. It's probably, who knows? It's probably Blue Sky or whatever that stupid new social media. I got kicked off there after 45 minutes, but whatever.
I didn't even try.
I just want to see how long it'd take.
Yeah.
But that's where we got to get the money. We get the money out of the way, and these kids are going to go right back to Xbox.
Yeah. So General Flynn and Boone have a new book. Their third book's going to come out. You mentioned the CCP. We'll talk about that in the next segment, but I want to just set that up a little bit because I believe that when looking at these operations that there is some level of obviously financial resourcing, but there's also some level of logistical and communications support. And knowing that all these Chinese military age males came in during the Biden administration, knowing that these Islamists have come in through the tens of thousands of refugees from places like Afghanistan that we didn't bet at all, and knowing that there's a red-green axis that exists. And the prime example of that is Mamdani. He's a red-green axis guy that's successfully taking over a political position, the most powerful and largest mayorship in the United States of America, and the financial capital of the world is about to be run by a guy that's a red-green axis guy that's well funded, from here and from overseas, I believe, and he wants to run grocery stores with his government. It sounds just like it's right out of the Soviet Union, and he's also an Islamist. So he is the nexus of that and the tip of that spear. Although we've had some small areas, and we have some Congress people that are Islamists too, like Omar and those kind of things. It's never gelled to the point where they could take over something major, and this appears to be about to happen when you look at the polling here at New York City. An Islamist Marxist is about to take control of America's largest city, the financial capital of the world. And we need to be paying attention, but we also need to use the tools that some very smart people like Mike Flynn and Boone Cutler have given us in the 5G warfare. And we're going to talk about that in the last segment. Right back.
The businessman from Texas that spent years trying to bring the perfect red heifers to Israel is coming to speak in Collierville, Tennessee, outside of Memphis, on Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. They now have sacrificed one of those red heifers. There it is burning. They've now gained 10 gallons of ashes. Why do they need this? Well, the Old Testament, Numbers chapter 19, says that for the purification ceremony, for their temporary tabernacle or full-time temple, they need the ashes of a perfect red heifer. This is the first time this has happened in over 2,000 years. The story is going global. It's highly controversial. In fact, there's even a connection between the attacks on Israel on October 7th and these 5 red heifers. Come and hear him speak live in person, Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Full details, worldviewstore.com, and to get your tickets, worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com.
In an era marked by complex and elusive global conflicts where the battlefields have transcended physical boundaries, a crucial need arises: the need for knowledge and insight to navigate the intricate web of fifth-generation warfare.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Tonight I want to talk to you on a subject of deep concern to all Americans and to many people in all parts of the world.
Put your hands up and come outside. Come outside. Everybody in the house needs to come outside.
Themselves. They all work together.
For the entire 2 hours.
Stealing personal data.
Oh my goodness.
For the first time, the U.S., joined by European allies and NATO partners, publicly condemned China for malicious cyber hacks and directly hiring hackers.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show, and we've got a new format that we're going to do the last segment of every show. This is the first day of it to honor Boone Cutler, and he's co-author of the book 5G Warfare and 2 other books that the third one's coming out. It's about the Chinese communists here with Mike Flynn, and we're going to cover 5G warfare from their books in the last segment of every Rob Maness show from here on out until I run out of material. And folks, I'm not going to run out of material. I'm not going to run out of material. Protect your mind, control your emotions is something Boone taught to veterans, to law enforcement folks, to everybody he came in contact with. And his friend Chad Caton is my guest today. Chad, that clip is from a long video that Boone and Tim Jensen did that I'm going to use for these segments that we're going to do from here on out, talking about 5G warfare, because it's just critically important. And you could see in the little clip there, that's the opening of the longer interview video, what he's talking about and what General Flynn are talking about when it comes to the narrative warfare that they've laid out and identified, so people can recognize it and take the appropriate action. But it goes even deeper than that, though, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. This is the first generation where the war is that of information. The war is being played in every household in America. It's not happening in a foreign soil. It's not happening just one part of our country. This is happening globally, and it's happening in everybody's home, on their tablets, on their phones, with their children and their tablets and their television set and their computers. The 5G warfare is quite possibly the most dangerous. Yes, you don't have the howitzers, you don't have the coffins coming into the airports, but it doesn't mean they're not winning. And the thing is that's where 5G warfare comes in for the average citizen to understand what the 5G warfare is, so that they can protect their home. If each and every one of us understand what's happening, we can protect our homes. We protect our homes, then the war is not going well for the bad guys, right? It's just simple. And this is why I try to simplify things all the time. In my every speech and every show I ever do is learn the game, play it better, kick their butt. And that's where it's very simple. You have to learn the game. So you have to go get 5G warfare. You need to understand where you are being played in psychological warfare. And Boone Cutler worked in psychological warfare in the United States Army. And what people don't understand is that they've made this readily available for you to understand now that battlefield has now come to your front door.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, we got a hand up in the live audience. Let's go ahead and take that question. Go ahead, Shel.
We have Liz, sir.
Hi, Colonel. And Chad. Well, my question to you is, as veterans, we are always thanked, and that's wonderful. That's great. But do you ever want to say to people, do you want to thank me? Really thank me and honor me? Help me fight for my constitutional republic. And this is how you do it.
No,
Thoughts?
I couldn't agree with you more. I would come at it a little differently, especially when we're trying to bring up numbers, is that have the conversation before they thank you, and then you ask them to do something else. Understand their level, because we're very finicky as a people. We're very weak as a people right now. And I don't mean you, Liz, particularly, or me, or the Colonel, or anybody in the room or watching. But what I am saying is, overtly, we have weakened our entire society. So we have to understand the game on how we're able to approach, engage, and talk to these people, just like Charlie Kirk was a master at. I learned from Charlie Kirk. It's something that, if you're going to be out there on the 5G battlefield, other than protecting yourself, but when you're going on the offensive in the 5G warfare concept, you need to understand the way to reach people on their level. And then their systems, their defense mechanisms comes down, and you have an opportunity to plant and implant. And I say all the time, Shel, your producer, we do spaces all the time, and people attack me and come at me, and they're like, why do you waste your time with that guy? He doesn't care. I'm not wasting my time with that person. I'm wasting my time with the other 1,000 people in the room that might be listening. That's why I do it.
Yeah, that's why Charlie did what he did. I mean, he was practicing 5G warfare. It seems like a cliche, folks, but he was doing an old school methodology. That is the reason why I wrote my book and titled it what it is, what you can do about it. Because as Americans, we have always come from the perspective of the individual being able to pull up their bootstraps, as some people say, and get done whatever needs to be done in the moment. And even if it includes mobilizing hundreds of thousands of people to do things like win an American Revolution when there are a very small percentage of the population. It gets back to those preachers I was talking about in those days. The Black Robe Regiment was the network of communications that would be equivalent of like a text thread, a chat thing protected on the Signal with thousands of people in it, so you could simultaneously get the message out. Charlie was doing that on college campuses and trying to reach those that he knew opposed him by letting them talk about their ideas, so he would have an opportunity to talk about his ideas and persuade them. That is the essence of 5G warfare. Think about that question. What can I do about it? As Americans, we need to teach our children that question. What can I do about it? And teach them about the Americans that have come before them that have provided an example to do that. I mean, we would not have nothing is perfect, folks, but we would not have the great successes we've had through our history without Americans that asked themselves that question when faced with a dire situation, would we, Chad?
No, sir. And that's the resilience. People are like Civil War and all this. And I'm like, who are you fighting? And by the way, I drove by Hot Yoga and it's still busy at 8:00. So we ain't nowhere near going into anywhere concept of a civil war. And that rhetoric needs to stop, because the war is at your front door. It's just a different kind of war. The people that want to kid up and be G.I. Joe, that's not how it's going to go down. And if we do get to that point, our republic will never be the same. So we need to do the fight now in order to keep it from there. For people like Colonel and myself that has heard of 762 hit a piece of concrete behind us, it'll change your whole world. This isn't a game. And this simplistic concept in the 5G warfare, where you protect your home, where you're able to go out and engage, this is where we win. And that's the battlefield that we're sitting on. And I wear the shirt every day from Grunt Style. This we will defend. And the resiliency of this country is unbelievable. I've seen it in North Carolina. I've seen it in Myrtle Beach when we had our floods. And what I'm telling you right now is that resiliency needs to start looking for the new answer in the war we're in right now, which is 1, spiritual, and 2, informational.
Yeah. As I was researching the show for today, for the segment, I came across a clip from Boone. I didn't use it in the show, but I want to talk about it real quick to close this out. And he says in the show, he's talking to a guy, and he goes, "Hey, look, have you ever noticed with your phone in today's information environment, you and your wife might be having a conversation about going to Walmart in your house, and then decide to do something else, and then all of a sudden your phone starts showing you things like where's the closest Walmart, what's on sale there, and those kind of things." And the gentleman goes, "Yeah, I've seen that before many times on different subjects and those kind of things." And Boone just goes, he says, "Hey, well, if they can do that with advertising, do you think they can do that with Marxist indoctrination information with our kids? And do you think that that's not happening?"
It's happening everywhere. Discord, Xbox Live, Facebook. It's happening everywhere. And we have turned our electronics into the babysitters of the old, and we're handing our kids over to the evildoers. It's that simple.
Yeah, if we're not engaged, my youngest son turns 21 here this Tuesday, and I've been with him. He hasn't been alive when there hasn't been a smartphone.
Crazy.
And I've been with him. I homeschooled him and everything, so he's been exposed to social media and streaming television and those kind of things. But he's not a leftist indoctrinated by these indoctrinations that a lot of the kids today have been indoctrinated by. He's actually more conservative than I am, which surprises me a little bit. But because he has been exposed, he has been exposed to the messaging. But somehow he's figured out, either through the things that we've taught him or that his other family members and friends have taught him, that there's a danger there, and you kind of just gotta take most of the stuff coming across that phone or that television with a grain of salt and live in the real world. And I just had a conversation with him last night about that very thing.
Because you taught him honor, courage, and commitment. I would give anything to sit next to Charlie Kirk and ask a leftist, can you explain honor, courage, and commitment? And these people have no clue. They have no idea what that means. And the thing is it's embedded in people like you and I, Colonel.
Yeah. Protect your mind, control your emotions. This we will defend. Go get the book. Start with the first one, 5G Warfare from Mike Flynn and Boone Cutler. And we will win this war that's not only at your doorstep, it's in your room with you right now. And you got to know how to fight it. So go get it. I'll see you Monday on More War Monday. Dr. Chase Spears, former Army Public Affairs Officer. We're going to talk about the thousands of really demonic and evil responses to Charlie Kirk's public execution by men and women wearing the uniform of the United States of America.
Spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents